The Seiko SARB has a reputation of being the poor man's Rolex, or perhaps more accurately, the poor man's Grand Seiko. But in this video, I'll take a look at the specifications and the design of this watch and see if this watch can stand on its own proverbial two legs. To better appreciate the strengths and weaknesses of the SARB series, it's really good to consider, more broadly speaking, the things that make or break a dress watch. I'm talking about harmonious design, the way that the elements relate to one another in the watch face, the relation of the case to the dial, the quality of the bracelet, a variety of features that come together to make a very simple take on the wristwatch either a success or a failure. Now, when you're talking about harmonious design, it is helpful to concretely talk about the specifications. This is a 38mm watch. Now, that is definitely a conservative size, but it's also a versatile size. It's going to be typically smaller than your average sports watch, but it's going to be larger than your average vintage watch. It's also coming in at 11.5mm thick, which is fairly thickish for a watch of this size, but not overly so. You'll notice the thickness really comes out especially in the case back, which is a display case back. And as you can see, we have a 6R15 Seiko in-house movement here. This is a well-regarded, proven movement from Seiko's in-house line, still relatively affordable. This watch overall is coming in at around $350, but it brings some strong specifications. We're talking about a 50-hour power reserve, a relatively high beat rate of 21,600 beats per hour. This is a very nice movement that is going to make the watch versatile in a lot of situations, along with this bracelet that the watch comes with, kind of a oyster-esque bracelet with a little bit of different finishing on it to distinguish it from a strict Rolex oyster bracelet. This is a watch that is really just going to be able to kind of be leveraged into a variety of attire and formality situations. Versatility is again the theme on the dial. As you can see, you have applied indices which add an air of formality, but at the same time, they're very large and oversized, and that's true of the hands and the script as well. You also have a very prominent date aperture, which thankfully matches the glossy color of the dial. So it does fit together, but it's a little bit maximized. Along with that maximized look on the dial, you're also getting kind of fun retro automatic script, which I think is adding a little bit of casualness to the design and maybe making it slightly more of a sports watch. You have to keep in mind that this watch also has 100 meters of water resistance. It has a threaded crown, which basically means that you're going to be able to use this watch in situations where the watch might be being briefly immersed in water. I wouldn't take it diving. I probably wouldn't even swim with it regularly if I had a choice between other watches. But it's certainly a watch that you don't need to worry about, possibly hopping in the shower in to clean it off or getting it wet in a sink. It's a watch that will definitely handle those kind of adventures without any issues. Another way that this watch is a step up, say, from a standard Seiko 5 is the implementation of a sapphire crystal on the front of the watch. It has a Hardlex crystal for the display case back. That's just going to mean that this watch is going to be more impact resistant, say, than a mineral crystal, which is basically what a Hardlex crystal is. It's a proprietary mineral crystal. In my experience, the crystal has been pretty much impervious to all the desk diving affairs that I've approached it with. And overall, the watch has really taken the everyday wear very gracefully. There is definitely signs of scratches on the bracelet, and that's no surprise because this bracelet is completely brushed or sometimes described as a satin finish, and that finish is going to pick up scratches occasionally. But in my opinion, it's probably preferable to a polish finish, which is going to pick up micro scratches and require that you're regularly polishing it. On the wrist, as you can see, I have a 7¼ wrist. It's again, the theme is versatility. Maybe a little bland, to be honest, in comparison to some of the other Seiko's offerings at this price point, say their dive watches, or even some of their sportier watches like the Alpinist. Much has been made about the step case and the variety of brushed and polished surfaces that this watch does exhibit. But honestly, they're not really a standout feature to me, and on the wrist and in real life, it seems pretty much just like a brushed watch. The details just don't stand out. If you're looking for a bolder and sportier watch at about this price point, I would encourage you to check out the Seiko Turtle. Those watches are, of course, going to be much larger. They're going to be more aggressive, and they're going to be able to take an even bigger beating, especially with respect to water resistance. And they have that added functionality of a rotating bezel. Now, if you're looking for something dressier and a little more affordable, I would actually encourage you to check out Orient's Bambino line. These watches come in at around $120, and they're definitely an old school take on the dress watch, even though they have modern proportions that are very comparable to the SARB. Thinner hands, thinner indices, thinner lugs. It's going to be a dressier watch overall. Doesn't have as nice of a movement, but it is Orient's in-house movement, and I think it has maybe a little bit more pizzazz to it, a little more distinctive vintage vibe. If you're looking just for an everyday beater, don't be afraid of the Seiko 5 line. This is a watch that's going to come in well under $100. This particular example can be found for $50, and it's probably going to do everything that you're going to need this Seiko SARB to do for a fraction of the price. If you're just looking for like a Seiko beater watch and you don't care about the bracelet, I would say just go ahead and go with the Seiko 5. I don't think you'll miss the 2mm that much. At least I certainly didn't. And with all the money you're saving, you can really buy another watch. If you are looking for a Seiko watch at around the $350, $400 price range that has a lot more distinctive features, I have to say I like the Alpinist better, and I'm reaching for that watch much more frequently, although I do miss the watch on a bracelet. Another good justification for the SARB that's overlooked is the idea that you could have a small watch collection for under $1,000 that would include a quite interesting variety of all Seiko watches. The Alpinist, the Turtle, and the SARB would make an awesome and extremely versatile trio. I have to admit that for me as a seasoned collector, the archetypal black dial and bracelet combination led me looking at more traditional brands known for this combination, looking of course at the Tudor Black Bay 36 there, but ultimately I settled on a Rolex Air King at 34mm. Equally versatile, a little bit more provenance, but certainly a lot more expensive. Let me know in your comments below what your experience is with the SARB033. What would be your choice for a do-everything watch on a bracelet? Is the SARB more dressy or more sporty for you? I'd love to hear your thoughts on it below, and as always, thanks a lot for watching, and thanks for your subscription.